Welcome to WCTE's 46th annual broadcast celebration. I'm Avery Hutchins, WCTE's CEO, and with me I have Nina Lunn, a longtime supporter of WCTE, board member, volunteer, and we are going to have a great couple of hours today with you at home. We're so excited that you're joining us. And this celebration is huge, Nina. 46 years. Yeah. We've been broadcasting right here in the Upper Cumberland to you at home. And we're excited to be here today. We're excited to be celebrating this anniversary. And along with this celebration, we're going to be talking to you about the Education Endowment Fund. It's something that we do every year to raise money for the endowment that's so very, very important. Educating, keeping this community up to date, and keeping our young people informed. And Nina, you know a lot about that. You have raised a family on public television, and now you have some really special grandchildren that have also started watching. So yes. Tell me a little bit about, well, first let's start with just you and your involvement with WCTE.
Well, Avery, it's been wonderful to be as involved as I have been because actually I was just thinking about this earlier. 6 years ago, as we did start that foundation effort, and it's so great that it has moved along as well as it has, and I hope everybody will pay close attention to just exactly what those funds go for, because one of the things that has been so important for me with all of my involvement with you all has been knowing what the outreach has been to small children, but also I have many friends that are very, very much aware of what lifelong learning is all about, and we have so many things now that are just good for us for the information that we need today, but certainly entertainment is nice, but just yes. Information, and you can rely upon what we can hear.
The mission of lifelong learning, PBS being the largest classroom. I mean, we are a full-blown PBS station, and some people, even to this day, still don't really even know that we're here. We have a lot of people moving into our community, but we want to let everybody know the resources that are available to them, and that has to do with lifelong learning. It starts very young with like maybe PBS Kids programming. Your families may enjoy that. We've got several testimonials today, and it's just incredible. And then, of course, like Nina was mentioning, the lifelong learning, always tuning in and having some great programming to watch, and really having an endowment that supports that kind of work is tremendous. Like Nina mentioned, the endowment started 6 years ago when we turned 40 years old. Time flies when you're having fun. But now we're still raising money for that endowment every day. Someone once told me you've got to plant the seed to grow the oak tree,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So kind of that's what we're doing here today, is planting that seed with you and hoping that you will make a gift to WCTE's endowment. We have some great gifts. We've got some thank you gifts. If you make a gift of $200 or more today, we've got some tickets to the Bryan Symphony, which is a great concert. It's right here in Cookeville. And Nina, you've been to several of those.
Over the years, that's another important and very wonderful service or thing that Cookeville has to offer. But our symphony is one of the best, and what a contribution for the symphony to say, hey, we're together on this. And I do think that, $200 for these tickets is, just think it's coming to WCTE, but you get the fun and the glory of seeing the symphony.
Yes, so a gift today of $200 or more, you can look into having those symphony tickets. You may be more interested in maybe the caverns. We've got some great offers with the caverns. All of this information is on our website, or you can call the number on our screen or use the QR code. But you can pretty much find out any information about those thank you gifts. We've also had some great sponsors step up to help us get our anchor gift. And I think we raised close to $4,000, or maybe a little bit more than $4,000 with that, along with some other donations. So we've already started the day off with some really great support from our community. So we're just asking you right now, take a minute, think about making a gift. We're going to be here from 3 to 6, and then we'll take an hour break so you can watch the PBS NewsHour. Then we'll be back at 7 just for one more hour. But all this information you're going to be able to find online at WCTE.org. And we've got a number of guests lined up that are going to be coming in tonight. So I hope you do stick with us, or at least for a portion of it, and then come back and find us. But we will be here for a couple of hours. And Nina, we showed an earlier picture of your children, and you're not from Cookeville.
No.
You
I've said it many times. I'm not from here.
You're not from Cookeville, but
That's right.
You've been here long enough now that.
Oh, you'd think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you've raised your family with public television, and right now you're seeing a picture. Who are those young ladies?
That is my daughter Sydney that's on the horse there, and this was one of her experiences at Camp Country Lad. Not Country Lad, Camp Monterey. Country Lad is certainly the wonderful camp for boys, and Sydney was there. So, yes, a very important experience for Sydney over the years to have those enjoy the things to enjoy.
And
there.
she's in television in a sense.
That's right.
So maybe an influence.
She is working on something right now that will be on television. That's right. Yeah.
You just never know where WCTE is going to come into your life or be a part of your life, or how it's going to influence you. But that's what we're going to do today, is really talk about the great things that WCTE brings to this community. And we want to continue this legacy, and we want you to continue with us with a gift to the Education Endowment Fund. And you can make that gift today online or by calling the number on your screen. And just, again, thank our sponsors. Thank our anchor gift donors, and stay with us because we have got many more to share. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Swallows Insurance Agency celebrates WCTE's 46th year of delivering exceptional programming, supporting education, and nurturing a sense of community. Your gift to the WCTE Education Endowment will help WCTE PBS continue to provide community engagement and exceptional programming for future generations. Join me by making a gift to WCTE's Endowment Fund today. And when you do, the Swallows Insurance Agency will match your gift. Together, we can foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging in our community.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
And we're back, and I hope you enjoyed that little break. And again, we are celebrating 46 years of broadcast history in the Upper Cumberland, and you are joining our Endowment fundraiser special, and we have great viewers across the Upper Cumberland, but we've even broadened our viewers a little bit to these two individuals, these lovely individuals. And let me introduce you. This is Olivia, and this is Julian. Can you say hi?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
They're also Nina's grandchildren, and they're actually visiting from out of town, but they are avid PBS Kids watchers. Can you remember the first time you watched a PBS Kids program?
The first time that I watched it, my age was probably like 3 years old. And the first show that I watched was maybe Curious George.
Oh, Curious George is fun. What about you, Julian?
Same.
Yeah, you just did whatever she did?
Yeah, we watch the same things all the time.
What did you love about Curious George?
Well, it's a cute monkey, and there are lots of dogs. We don't watch the show anymore because we've kind of outgrown it, but it's a nice show to watch. I like the fact of, how there are really cute mistakes, but it's also like teaching a good lesson of that these mistakes can be good.
Of course. Yeah. So now that you've kind of outgrown Curious George, who would you say you watch now?
Now we watch the show Jelly Ben and Pogo. It's our new favorite.
Oh, okay. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Well, it's a nice show. It's a shorter one than other shows, but it's still nice. It's about 3 friends. And their names are Jelly, Ben, and Pogo. Pogo is a sea monster, and they're all great friends who solve problems together. And at the end of each show, they put a sticker on whatever they've just accomplished.
That's pretty awesome. Everybody loves a good sticker, right?
Yeah.
Now you put them on your water bottle.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that where you put your stickers?
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
when I earn them.
Yeah. Is that your favorite show too?
No.
What's yours?
My favorite show is Odd Squad. It's where, there's these villains that make monsters and mischief, and the Odd Squad tries to stop them. They're like kids with gadgets, and they always win. There's always an oddness, and they do a little math. They do cool stuff, and they always solve and fix it.
Wow, that's incredible. What tremendous content PBS Kids brings to our little learners. What would be one thing that you would want to share with the people at home that the PBS Kids has done for you?
Well, it's taught us great lessons for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a really great show. They have just really good educational shows that, they teach a lot.
Yeah.
So they've taught us manners, and they've taught us, they've taught us how to behave and not to feel bad for so many things.
Yeah. And to have strong self-esteem and be courageous and patient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Me too.
Well, folks, there you go. PBS Kids Learning does so much for our community right here in the Upper Cumberland. And your gift today to the endowment will help support and continue that effort with PBS Kids Learning. So we're going to take a quick break, but we are going to be right back.
We'll let you know when we're ready.
First name is Warren, last name is Johns. I am 7. I like to watch Wildcrafts, working out wombats, Mega Builders. It's either Mega Builders or Wildcrafts. I can't choose. Who Sam Evelyn Johns.
Remind me again, what were your 2 favorite shows on TV?
Mega Builders and Wildcrafts.
What's your favorite character on Sesame Street?
Tango and Elmo.
What do you like about Wildcrafts?
That they discover animals.
I think we discovered cars.
Wow! Thank Thank you for supporting PBS Kids.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
If WCTE wasn't here, somebody would have to invent it because there was such a need for the function that WCTE serves here in the community.
It's our only really local TV station.
Advantages of having Channel 22 and the programs they brought were tremendous.
WCT is important in the Upper Cumberland. It reaches underserved areas that don't have any other access to the educational opportunities.
They do try to be good members of this community, showcase what all the many wonderful things that are going on here.
It was obviously a challenge in the early years, especially when you almost expected to see a camera held together with duct tape and baling wire, but you knew that they were doing the best they could programming-wise to produce quality with what they had to work with.
It's good television. I like that they're dedicated to education. It's, in my opinion, some of the best programming on television.
WCTE is known to some extent all over the world.
There's a perception that WCTE is trying to bring things to the Upper Cumberland, which is true. Its mission is education. It brings in a lot of very interesting programming. But another big part of the mission of WCTE is bringing our region to the world.
Public media has always been an important part of the American scene.
It is our mission to serve the people, the public in the Upper Cumberland area. And the way we do that is to tell those stories.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Swallows Insurance Agency celebrates WCTE's 46th year of delivering exceptional programming, supporting education, and nurturing a sense of community. Your gift to the WCTE Education Endowment will help WCTE PBS continue to provide community engagement and exceptional programming for future generations. Join me by making a gift to WCTE's Endowment Fund today. And when you do, the Swallows Insurance Agency will match your gift. Together, we can foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging in our community.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, Nina, thank you for sharing Julian and Olivia with us. They were the cutest. How old are they?
They're 9.
9 years old?
Yes.
And she remembers watching Curious George at 3 years old.
Well, they were watching Curious George before that because I watched it with them.
Right.
And the thing that's wonderful about Curious George is that, you know, you don't have to know language, but you know what's going on with Curious George. And it's true. I think they have, gained so much as far as behavior, but most of all, the things that they watch really do deal with family issues too. And that's particularly true with Daniel Tiger.
Yes.
And now with them, I have been introduced to the new children's programming, and there's a great deal for all of us adults to learn if you watch programs that are geared towards children. The message is very clear, and it's unavoidable, as the two of them said. You know how to behave, and you know how to feel better when you do something wrong. And
it's no doubt that PBS Kids has been an important part of their growing up years, and they still have a long ways to go. Obviously, they're just 9, but it's what we do here in the Upper Cumberland as far as being able to provide that core learning experience for these rural families. And there's a lot that maybe only get WCTE over the air. We only broadcast. That's the only thing that they get, either because of their they don't have access to fiber, cable, or anything of that nature. So the value that WCT brings as far as over the air is just, there is no value you can place on learning and being school ready. And I wanted to share too with our audience, Nina, that, you've been using PBS before it was PBS. It was like public learning. So just briefly, we've got a few minutes here. If you could just maybe tell us a little bit about how you used it.
My first experience with it really was when I was at the North Carolina Medical School Department of Child Psychiatry, and this was in the late 60s. And they had a therapeutic preschool there, and they used PBS materials for that program. And then I was able to gain gained the advantage of being able to give my daughters that experience with the learning. But certainly, it was Sesame Street at the time, and then Mr. Rogers.
Yep.
And then we later were in West Virginia, and I was providing the mental health services to the Head Start centers in a 5-county region around Charleston, West Virginia, and they also used. And not only, which is a part of Head Start, and I'm happy to say that it's a part of Ready to Learn, the involvement of the parents. Well, parents begin to be exposed to this same programming, and there were those satellites in those hills and hollers of West Virginia, and then after we were there, we moved here, and I was really glad to see that in the hills and hollers of our area, we had the same satellites, and so I've been in a way dedicated to making sure that the people of our region do get this ongoing exposure. I wanted to tell you, Avery, that in talking with Olivia and Julian's mom, they talked about the fact that now the children they watch Nova, and they watch what is it? American Outdoors,
Outdoors,
which was just wonderful, and they can tell you all about the things they learned there. So it is an example of as we've said, lifelong learning, and there's programming there for all of us, and we just want you to get tuned into, but the emphasis upon the things we learn and the things we continue to be stimulated by.
So if we could go back to your work with the young children, what foundation did you experience that? What having access to PBS Kids or public television that was broadcasting programming like Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street, what did that mean to those young children that you were working with?
Well, certainly to see a part of the world that they hadn't, because many of them, their parents had never been out of the county that they were born in. And as I say, that was in West Virginia, and with Head Start, and Head Start really emphasizes that the involvement of parents in the learning experience, and I think that that's important, and the importance of having families together watching TV instead of just being tuned into the screen in front of you. But I think that certainly culture. That there are differences in people. We're not all the same. The arts, being exposed to music and artistic efforts that we don't find otherwise. In rural areas, there are a lot of craftspeople, but the fine arts are there, but the crafts that are there, and then values. And I think that I'm really very grateful that my children have had the opportunity, and now my grandchildren, and as I say, I'm learning with them.
Yes.
I'm being reminded with them
Right.
of the things that matter.
Well, again, PBS Kids, they go hand in hand, as Nina mentioned. You start out with the kids, you grow into your more adult programming. But that's why we're here today, folks. So take a minute, make a donation to the WCTE Education Endowment. There is information on the screen. There's tickets, there's thank you gifts. So check those things out, and we're going to be right back.
We extend our gratitude to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual Day of Support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland. And here we are. We're still with you, folks. We're in the first hour of the Education Endowment special. We're celebrating 46 years of broadcast history. And Nina, you just heard from Nina and her very cute little grandchildren all about how public television has played a role in their lives. And, you know, Nina has been a big fan of WCTE, and she has raised her children and now her grandchildren, and they were just spectacular. And now Morgan is here. Morgan, Director of Development, is with us at WCTE, and she's going to give us a quick update on how the endowment is going.
Yeah, so I'm going to be tuning in with you guys about twice every hour to give you an update on where we are in our fundraising efforts, because I know if you're donating, you want to know where we're at. So our goal for this year is to put $20,000 into our Educational Endowment Fund, and right now we're sitting right at $8,400, which is an awesome number. And Avery's going to go over with you guys our sponsors for this hour, but keep in mind that those donations are matching. And so what they're giving is going to be doubled when you donate. And of course, we've got the tickets sitting. And so when you go online and give, you'll click to choose your tickets, and you'll be able to see all those options.
That's fantastic. That is a big number already. We're just in our first hour. We are going to be with you until 6 o'clock. Then we're going to take a break so you guys can join News Hour. And then we'll be back at 7 just for one more hour just to kind of wrap everything up. But we are excited that you are with us right now, celebrating 46 years of broadcast history, but more importantly, the value that we bring to you in education and the work that we do every single day, not just through PBS Kids content and programming, but also through our engagement. We do a tremendous amount of family engagement. We work with families, we work with teachers, we work with Head Starts, and it's critical that our young little ones, starting even as early as 2 years old, receive that early learning literacy and school readiness. It gets them ready for kindergarten. Not every child in the Upper Cumberland will attend a preschool, but when they have public television and WCTE PBS Kids, they're able to start that learning early. Now, a quick heads up, we want to mention our sponsors for this hour was Swallows Agency, and we give a big shout out to Kelly and Matt and thank them for all their support. We also want to let you know that the Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry was also a sponsor, and they are also big fans of public television, and a shout out to Dr. Steve Ellis and thanking them for their support. Your donations are being matched today, so make a gift. Consider any amount counts, and will count towards our goal of $20,000. So call the number, check out our website, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Tony Craig, one of the attorneys at Will Robertson Associates Attorneys at Law. Over the last 4.5 decades, WCTE has continually demonstrated its dedication to enhancing the lives of individuals. The law office of William F. Robertson Jr. and Associates supports WCTE's local programming because it provides a platform for regional voices and builds connectivity and awareness among the community. Your gift to WCTE Endowment Fund ensures the long-term viability of the organization by providing a stable source of income, enabling WCTE to continue delivering exceptional programming. And today, the law offices of William F. Robertson Jr. and Associates will match your gift, doubling that impact.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Lillian Hartgrove. Please join me in supporting WCTE's education programs. We can be proud of the station's focus on early childhood learning and the impact made through programs like PBS Kids. As a former member of the Tennessee State Board of Education, I'm happy to say that WCTE's education programs align with the board's policy for early learning education that ensures all students are prepared to learn and to be successful. Please join me by supporting WCTE's education programs that put our children on the path of learning to read and reading to learn. Thank you.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Welcome back to this hour of the Education Endowment Special. I've got another very special guest, but we want to thank Nina again for her help, her support, her contribution. She truly is a lifelong learner. But along with Nina, Steve Boots has also been kind of a foundation, I don't know. I don't want to use the word.
I'm an old guy.
An old guy. Now, I don't know about that. But
I was hired by the station 40 years ago, I just realized.
40 years.
40 years ago.
So Steve Boots, the history you were the intern, the second intern at WCTE, and we're celebrating 46 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's incredible.
Just amazing. And I think it's highly unfair. I did not know you could bring grandchildren.
Oh.
Gave Nina.
Did you have one?
Real unfair.
Did you have one to bring?
Not in town, but I would have rustled one up.
Well, it was special to kind of see Olivia and Julian. They definitely might have a future in PBS. Who knows? We might see them again. And here's a great picture of Steve. Your history with the station. I mean, yes, you just announced you were here 40 years ago as an intern, but
actually, I was an intern in 1980. So.
Yeah.
So or 81, but I was hired full time in 84.
Wow. Now in 81, the station was not a community licensee, right? It was still part of the Department of Education through Tennessee. And that's kind of interesting because a lot of people may not understand that concept. But right now, WCTE is a community licensee, meaning that we are owned by the community. But when you first took, it was something that the state had initiated, right? As far as wanting to make sure that we had public television, PBS in the homes across Tennessee, and making sure that people had the resources for learning, especially those early learning.
Yes. Yeah, it was those were challenging times when the state divested itself of public television. And of course, with that, there was a cut in funding because they were no longer part of the state.
Right.
But then in the last few years, I've really seen this station thrive and grow. And I think that it couldn't have done that under the state umbrella.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And, I think the community is growing and the awareness that we bring to the community, the work that's being done across all 14 counties. We're going to talk to our viewers a little bit later. We've got Dr. Ablakwa joining us about the Empower program that we're doing as far as connecting rural families and helping them out of poverty, but also using that Ready to Learn curriculum that's kind of helping them learn together with their children. So it's incredible. But I know you've seen a lot, and we're going to talk about my very special story that you always share a little bit later. But Steve, why do you think it's so important that public television is here in the Upper Cumberland?
Well, as people who live here may or may not know, because a lot of people have moved in, but there are portions of the population that don't have the access to services and educational things for their children. And WCTE can provide that. I think that it's important, and I'm not an educator, but I think that it's very well known that the sooner you can expose a child to culture and education and learning, the more likely they are to grow up to be independent, curious, intelligent, and all of those things. You have to reach them. And sometimes it's very difficult for parents to do if they work.
That's right.
But WCTE provides that outreach.
Yeah, the PBS Kids programming. And in some of my just brief little research, I mean, PBS Kids didn't even really evolve until the 90s. So
Right.
before that, in the 80s when you were here, it was all just PBS.
Yes.
And we had Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and Electric Company and some of those core things that we're familiar with.
Right.
And we grew
had a
up on-
director of education, and we started doing some outreach, but outreach became a very, very important part of this station's mission.
Well, we're going to take a quick break just so you can hear from our donors and our sponsors. We also want you to consider making a gift. Make a legacy gift to this endowment. Your gift will help support the work that WCTE does right here in this Upper Cumberland. So we also have some great thank you gifts, so check those out. But visit our website or give us a call.
Swallows Insurance Agency celebrates WCTE's 46th year of delivering exceptional programming, supporting education, and nurturing a sense of community. Your gift to the WCTE Education Endowment will help WCTE PBS continue to provide community engagement and exceptional programming for future generations. Join me by making a gift to WCTE's Endowment Fund today. And when you do, the Swallows Insurance Agency will match your gift. Together, we can foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging in our community.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, we couldn't do it without our sponsors, so make sure next time you see Swallows Insurance or the Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, you thank them for their support. Their anchor gift today helps you make your donation doubled, so it only helps WCTE.
Very generous gift.
Yes, it is very generous. And we've been talking to Steve Boots, as you know, who was a former intern with WCT and worked really even beyond your internship.
Yes.
But through those times that you were working as an employee, as you mentioned in 84.
84, I started as a producer director.
Yep. And so I know you've had many experiences with the rural communities because you actually did a documentary. And during that documentary, you have a great story to share.
Well, we did a documentary called Stepping Stones, Pathways to Early Development, and the WCTE crew and the educators from Tennessee Tech actually traveled around the country. But I remember going out and videotaping several of the parts of that program. And I was with Dick Castle, who was the general manager at that time. And Dick and I were videotaping. We went to a home in Monterey, Tennessee. And the floor, when you walk in, there was like a piece of vinyl, and then the rest of the floor was dirt. And but they did have a TV over in the corner, and there was kind of a little snowy image of cartoons or something that was, the kids were all gathered around it while we talked to the mom about early childhood development, which was what the series was about. And when we finished, Dick Castle said, "So do you watch public television?" And so, no, we can't get it. And he said, "Well, you're on Monterey Mountain here. You know, we could do," and I said, "Do you have a coat hanger?" And she said, "Yeah, one of the old wire coat hangers." So that was back in the day when you hooked it up to the back of the TV to the antenna. And Dick hooked it up and tuned it in, and it came in as clear as a bell. And when we left, the children were sitting there watching Sesame Street. So instead of watching Shoot 'em Up Robots, they were learning. And that really touched me and told me how important the mission of this station is.
Wow. I mean, that's a very powerful story. I love it every time you tell me because it really is the core purpose of the work that we were doing. I mean, and lots have changed since the 80s, and children and families there may be lots of options for some families, but there is still a critical need right here in the Upper Cumberland for us to be able to continue to provide these learning programs, but also the family engagement. We have some families coming in a little bit later that have access to many other shows, but they prefer the PBS Kids programming because they feel like it's what they want their children learning and modeling. And I think, that's what's so important about the work that we're doing is that we are providing that kind of content. It's learning.
The research, the structure, everything that goes into the PBS Kids programming helps build intellect and curiosity and the things that you want your children to develop.
Yes, and like Nina mentioned, it is also a lifelong learning model. So we don't just lose you after you're kind of graduated out of the PBS Kids content. You're going to continue to watch and grow and expand your learning. It's so important. But today we're raising money for the Education Endowment Fund, and that fund is going to help support the work that we do in the Upper Cumberland. WCTE is involved with Empower Upper Cumberland, which is an initiative to help families out of poverty. We reach all 14 counties. We're serving around 200 families with that, and it is a 3-year initiative. So we're working with the same families for 3 years and helping them have kind of a baseline of learning, which is it's just tremendous. We also do some great outreach with the Head Starts. So we're in the schools, we're helping these Head Start teachers have resources and tools for learning. And Steve, you have a granddaughter, so you know how important it is. And I'm sure your children watched some of the content.
A little bit, yes,
a little
they
bit.
actually did.
Is there one that sticks into your head that they watched maybe?
Sesame Street is always the one. There's my daughter Emily, as a matter of fact. And Sesame Street was so clever in that it was very colorful, very action-oriented, excited voices, and mixed in, and lots of movement, but there was learning involved, and that is
even
tremendous.
Cookie Monster had a great message.
That's
yeah, right, cookies. Well, my daughter loved Caillou. She was of that kind of age group, and we would sit down every day and watch Caillou in the afternoon, and I could still hear his little voice, and that tune that he had is very memorable. But those are the memories that public television brings. I mean, to your family, to my family.
I think in the day, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego inspired kids to think about traveling outside of where they lived. And I know there are lots of folks who have not traveled extensively, but I think that's an important part of learning too.
I think the curiosity, it kind of plants the seed of curiosity. And WCTE, that's what we're doing. So your gift today will help us continue the work that we're doing with the Education Endowment Fund, being there for now and forever. And those funds will help us continue the work, not just the broadcast, not just the PBS content, but the actual boots on the ground work that we're doing. So we've got more to come, folks. So make sure to check out the website or make a phone call and pledge your gift. Thank you.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual Day of Support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund, While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, we are back. Morgan, you're back here to give us another update. Tell us what's going on out there.
Yeah, so as of right now, we're sitting at 8,905. So in the matter of 20 minutes, we've already gone up from our last update.
Wow. So a couple $100.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. You guys are watching. You're doing some great giving, and we thank you for your support. Your gifts help support the Education Endowment Fund, which will help continue the work we do right here in the Upper Cumberland with early learning literacy. And that's not just PBS Kids programming, but you're also supporting the boots on the ground efforts, the engagement that we do all over the Upper Cumberland. So thank you for your gifts. Now, to thank you for your gifts, I'm going to have Morgan give a little update on those thank you gifts.
Yeah, so a couple of gifts that we have available for you. Once you make your donation, you'll be able to select my tickets. Of course, this is limited supplies. So as supplies last, you'll be able to choose from a couple different shows at the Caverns, which is in Grundy County, Tennessee. They have K-Fest, which is a 3-day event with camping, really fun. That could be for you or as a gift for somebody else. And then there are 5 other shows at the Caverns that you can choose from, including T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Acoustic Christmas, the 1964 The Tribute, which is a tribute concert to the Beatles. That'll be fun. Rhonda Vincent, which is also a bluegrass Christmas celebration, and a comedian, Jim Brewer. And then, of course, we also have Bryan Symphony Orchestra tickets for the October 6th performance. So lots to choose from. Not only, of course, is your donation going to WCTE PBS's Educational Endowment, but you'll also have the opportunity to receive a gift of these tickets, and another way for us to kind of support the arts in our community.
Yeah. These tickets were given to WCT in support of the Education Endowment. So great partnerships out there. We would not be able to do the work we do today without our great community supporters. We've recognized some sponsors so far, and they have given us a great anchor gift. So know that your support today is going to be doubled because of their generosity. And, this event wouldn't go on today without our contributors, our you viewers at home watching us, but also our special guests that have made time out of their day to come here right now and talk about the importance that public television has meant to them and to their families. And I hope that you've tuned in and watched, and that you might also have a legacy story. And if you do, I hope you will share it with WCTE. We're always looking for great stories and stories of impact. The things that we do right here at WCT, which is incredible, I think. And in 46 years, so much has changed. But what has not changed in 46 years is how we care about our community and how we want you all to have the resources necessary, whether it's public safety or early learning literacy, whatever that might be. So make a gift right now, keep our legacy going, and know that you might even get a thank you gift. Thank you.
Some of our favorite TV shows are on PBS Passport. We enjoy anything Masterpiece, but especially love Grantchester and All Creatures Great and Small. We love the mysteries and catching the bad guy of Grantchester, and the wholesome feel of James Herriot taking care of the animals in his village in England. My family and I support WCTE PBS because we know the important role they play in our community with educational efforts for our children and the quality TV programming for the adults.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support, or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Swallows Insurance Agency celebrates WCTE's 46th year of delivering exceptional programming, supporting education, and nurturing a sense of community. Your gift to the WCTE Education Endowment will help WCTE PBS continue to provide community engagement and exceptional programming for future generations. Join me by making a gift to WCTE's Endowment Fund today. And when you do, the Swallows Insurance Agency will match your gift. Together, we can foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging in our community.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, Steve, I can't believe how much we've already raised in just the first hour of this incredible show.
The people of this area are very generous, and I think it was a challenge when we went away from under the state of Tennessee, because people did not believe at that time that the Upper Cumberland would have the ability to support a public television station. There was discussion about merging it with other stations like in Nashville and so forth. And we were fierce in our dedication to making sure that the local programming that we produced here was about here, and that we didn't get swept away.
I mean, I wasn't here in the 80s, but I do know the stories. And I mean, it was pretty incredible how the community came out in force to make sure that this station stayed right here. And it has not always been easy.
It's not.
We do receive state and federal funding, but it does not completely cover all of our expenses.
Of course not.
So it is important that we continue to fundraise, and we do that through our memberships. So you may have a membership, but the endowment is something above and beyond kind of what we're doing as far as our general operating expenses every year. As I mentioned earlier, we're hoping to be planting the seed for that great oak tree for later. And a gift to the endowment really is something that's in perpetuity. I mean, it's something that, and as a financial advisor, Steve, you probably can explain it way better, but.
Well, there's no need to explain. The main thing that you need to know is that with an endowment, you grow the endowment to a point where you can start taking income from it. And so the gifts that you're giving today could come into play for several generations. This could be a lasting gift to the Upper Cumberland and to the children and to education that will go in perpetuity. I mean, it boggles the mind. I also want to encourage people, if they have not yet done so, to consider making WCTE part of your will or trust, and talk to your attorney who does your estate planning to help you with this. But that is another way that you can have a legacy that goes forever in this community.
And you could designate that gift to the endowment. And
absolutely.
Like Steve said, I mean, this is a gift that is that keep on giving scenario, and you never know how many lives you're going to touch with your donation today and for generations to come. And there may be lots of access out there, but the important thing is that the access that public television provides and PBS Kids provides to these families in these homes in rural Tennessee. I mean, it's not that far out of here. I mean, Crawford, Cravenstown, Byrdstown. I mean, there's people in Byrdstown that we hear from all the time that talk about receiving our signal just over the air, like you mentioned. Maybe not the
coat hanger.
Maybe not the coat hanger, but they have an antenna and they're picking up our signal. And because of that, and because of your support and your contributions, we are able to continue to broadcast. And we've grown from the one station that you started out with. We have 4 channels now. We offer a 24/7 PBS Kids channel. I mean, in the 80s, there wasn't even PBS Kids.
And there's the thing. That's the thing. One thing I really like about what you have done, what the folks at the station have done, is like any good entity, you have grown and adapted to the circumstances. Like you say, back in those days, technology was completely different, and now. You can get the station online. You can find it in a lot of different places.
Streaming it.
A lot of streaming and more channels than before. So the fact that you give to this this endowment and it goes for generations, you just know that the people at the station have consistently over the years been able to adapt to new technologies, new processes, new ways of getting the message out.
We do, and the apps, the PBS Kids apps. We also have the PBS videos. So lots of ways for these children to continue their learning. But most important, I feel like we serve those communities that are still receiving us over the air. I think it's important to know that the work that we're doing with the early learning literacy is so important. We're also working with the Head Start teachers, and they have really tight budgets. They don't always know, like, what kind of curriculum are we going to have? I mean, they have the core curriculum, obviously, that they're supposed to be doing, but to enhance some of that work, to add to it. I mean, our education team, they're constantly working with those teachers at Head Starts. And I'm not just here in Putnam County, but we go out to the outlying counties and work with them. We also do the family engagement, which, like you mentioned earlier, that came along with the Ready to Learn. And that family engagement is so critical too. We're able to really connect with those families, and the testimonials that come from those meetings, those engagement is incredible. I mean, it can change the dynamic of a family by just having a couple of those sessions. Steve, they get together, they start connecting with each other, they start working, they sit down and watch a show together, they read a book. And I mean, we take some of that for granted, but these families that are working, they might have 2 or 3 jobs they're trying to do. They kind of forget about some of those little details with the kids, and it's a game changer.
Yeah, it certainly is. I've always believed in the mission of public television, and the core of that mission has been, to me, education all these years.
Yeah. Well, we've got lots more to come, folks, and we're glad you're with us. We hope you'll stay with us. Do check out the lower third, make a phone call, check out the website. We are excited to be here with you, and we're excited to be sharing the information about the Education Endowment.
We extend our gratitude to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual day of support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
Hello there. I was able to work at WCTE PBS as an intern this summer. I was working in special events with Amber Carl, and more specifically, I got to work on the Great TV Auction. Now, although it was chaotic, it was sure a lot of fun and taught me so much. Now, some of my favorite parts about being a WCT intern would obviously probably be putting on the auction in the first place. It was my first time on live TV. Another thing, I was also able to go to ribbon cuttings and grand openings for new businesses in town, and it really just got to show me about how much WCTE really cares about their community and how they stay involved as much as possible. Thanks, WCTE, for this opportunity. Please donate today.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Welcome to this hour of our anniversary celebration, broadcasting 46 years in the Upper Cumberland. We are your public television station, and thank you for being with us. You might have been with us the last hour. You may just now be joining us, but what we are doing today is raising money for the Education Endowment Fund. Our goal is $20,000. We're already approaching $9,000, I think. Hopefully, maybe by the end of this hour, we'll have gotten to 10. And we've had many special guests on, but we're not done. We have more special guests with you. And April, thank you for being here. April Patterson, Clay County. I mean, you've just done a tremendous amount, but she's also one of our board members, and she has been a voice of rural communities in the Upper Cumberland and the importance and the value that public television brings. And you have two small children.
Yes.
And they are cute as pie.
Well, I think they're cute as pie.
We would have had them here, except for they might have taken over. There's one right there.
Yes, my little farm loving boy.
Yep. So how old are they now?
So Axel's 4 and Liam is 1. And Avery, I can't tell you how much they love WCTE and our local PBS station. So tons of content there.
Do they have, there they are at the river. I'm sure have they taken what they've learned from public television and applied it to their exploring yet?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we love the wildcrats. So
Okay.
we are explorers now. So we go to our creek, we're looking for critters, we're catching the crawfish, we're learning about minnows and the ecosystem, and we're the mini wildcrats.
That is
when we are out and
awesome.
about.
That is awesome. So you mentioned right before we came on that you're having to do preschool. So tell me about that.
Yes. So living in a rural community, you know, I was actually doing a little bit of a study, and based on the U.S. Census Bureau, 70 to 80% of children in the Upper Cumberland area are living in rural communities. So it's not just us, but there are a lot of these kids there, and a lot of families are probably like us. My 4-year-old did not get into the pre-K program at school. Those spots filled up quickly. We have fewer schools than maybe more urban areas, and a lot of folks in our community did not get in either. So we started pre-K. We have started pre-K, and it is going great. But I want to brag a little bit on WCTE and PBS.
Yes.
We actually got some of our neighbors who didn't get into pre-K, and we had a lesson this week. We got together, and our lesson come from PBS.
All right.
Because there's so many educational opportunities. There's worksheets, there's crafts, there's things that you can do with your kids. So we got together and we talked about ladybugs, we talked about the life cycle, we read the book, but then PBS had the cutest craft, and we made ladybugs. And it was awesome. So we're doing pre-K, but it's going great.
And it's exciting to be able to find the curriculum that you're needing in order to help these young learners be ready for school.
Yes.
I mean, how important is it for your kid to be ready for school?
Beyond important. I did not realize until I became a mother how important early literacy would be, and how important getting our kids some of the educational content out there. And what's so cool is, instead of going to Pinterest or Googling something that I'm having to pay for worksheets like $2.99. Okay, there's another 99 cents. PBS has it. I literally go online. You can put the age of your children in. It gives you age-appropriate content that you can do with your kids. It's been amazing.
Well, it's incredible. And this is just one testimony of many. And you said you've got several families that's working and coming together. And, you know, this is just one example of many of how WCT is impacting lives in our community. And it's all free content. We have the over-the-air broadcast. I'm sure you mentioned the Wildcrats.
Yes, the antenna still works, folks. Still works.
And you're in Clay County. So, I mean, get those rabbit ears, or you've got the TV antenna that helps.
Yeah, 4
But-
channels is what we get.
Yes.
And WCT is one of them.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's just, the endowment, and that's the purpose of the endowment, is so that we can raise the money today to help these children, not just today, but for many years to come. And your gift of whatever, $30, $40, $50 is going to help the families today, but multi-generationals from now. So things aren't going to change. Early learning literacy is still super important. And even though we have lots of stuff coming at us these days, I feel like there's still the core importance, the reading, writing, numbers, arithmetic. And it's so important for these children. Early learning literacy is key to these success.
That's right.
And WCTE being able to reach rural communities is important. And April, you can testify. I mean, you'll have to come back and let us know how
I'll let you know
how the preschool is working. But I think that, tell me a little bit about, you're a board member.
Yes.
And you've also recommended several shows to us over the
Yes.
years. One of them was the
Cowboy Dan. I love me some Cowboy Dan.
Yeah,
We
and
love
he
Cowboy
was
Dan.
great, and he really featured and highlighted rural communities
Yeah.
and what it means. And I think that's important for the content that we do, to be able to show the content that looks like the people that we're serving, right?
Yes.
So if to see, I mean, there's great things to see the city and be familiar with larger places, but it's another thing to be able to turn on the TV and see things that you can connect with and relate to.
And agriculture is one of them.
Yeah.
I'm a huge ag advocate, I guess you could say. We've written a children's book about corn. We've had Cowboy Dan on our farm. We open our farm up. We had nature school this morning. We had a bunch of kids that come to the farm. We learned about different things. Today we read a book about bird's nests. We created a bird's nest, and we explored the creek and learned about nature. And those kids love it. It's been amazing.
And that those kindergarten teachers are going to love it too.
Oh yes, yes.
Because when they get to school, they're going to be ready to learn.
That's right.
Yeah. So we've got lots today on this show. We have things. We've got people that are making gifts already. We have some. We've got a couple of testimonials. So I'd like to shout out to Barbara and George. They made a donation because they love using PBS Passport, and they appreciate the subtitles.
I always keep the subtitles on.
So
I'm with you.
that way they can read it and see it. And thank you, Barbara and George, for your support of public television. You are great advocates of ours, and we couldn't be more grateful. So thank you for that. Also, Becky has made a gift as well. So appreciate the staff and leadership, past and present, as well as the commitment WCTE is giving our youngest citizens ready to learn in the Upper Cumberland. So thank you, Becky, and thank you, Barbara and George, for those gifts. We are trucking along here. We thank our sponsors. If you haven't already made a gift, consider making a gift. Your gift will be used for the Education Endowment Fund, and it will be in perpetuity, meaning that fund will go into the endowment and stay there. Only the interest will be used to continue the programs that we're doing. So you can call the number on your screen. You can visit our website to make those gifts. And right now we're doing some thank you gifts. So you might even consider what that would mean, some symphony tickets. So check that out, and we're going to be right back.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund, While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Some of our favorite TV shows are on PBS Passport. We enjoy anything Masterpiece, but especially love Grantchester and All Creatures Great and Small. We love the mysteries and catching the bad guy of Grantchester and the wholesome feel of James Herriot taking care of the animals in his village in England. My family and I support WCTE PBS because we know the important role they play in our community with educational efforts for our children and the quality TV programming for the adults.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Rogers Group for their generous support of the Education Endowment Fund. Thanks to Rogers Group, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Education Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
We are just excited to be here and glad you are tuned in watching us today. It is a great Saturday, August 17th, and we are celebrating WCTE's 46th year of broadcast history. And we're celebrating by raising funds for the Education Endowment. There is nothing more important than giving our community the basis of early learning literacy right here to all families in the community. Whether you receive us over cable or streaming, or maybe you receive us through an antenna, we want all families, all young ones, to be able to have the access to the resources needed that they have early learning literacy, but more importantly, the baseline, so that when they get to school, they're going to be ready.
Yes.
They're ready to learn. They're creative. They're excited, and they feel like they have the start in life that they need. We also provide resources to teachers and families. And April mentioned earlier how they are in the process of doing pre-K with a couple of families because she lives in a rural community that they were not able to get into the pre-K that was offered.
Right.
So she is having to pull together her children, and also you've had some community members join you and hosting a pre-K. So it's initially like your own, and you have plenty to do. So I can imagine adding this other thing to your day is probably incredible.
It is a lot, but as I know everybody watching knows that our children is our top priority and what we want the best for in life, and being a part of their education, watching them learn, getting to kind of continue my own education a little bit and getting to see them learn. That's just, man, what a blessing and what a cool thing that is to watch
really
them
fun.
Enjoy learning. And the resources that we've found through WCTE and through PBS have been just astronomical. Like, that is where we go for
It's
our
a game
content.
changer.
It is.
Yeah.
And you don't realize until you're getting into this what all is on there. Avery, I mean, you can put in the age of your child and it will give you that age appropriate content of things that you can do as a family. The books, they read books. That is, I enjoy that myself. And the crafts, the worksheets, you know, it's
I
awesome.
think the conversations that you then have with your children, I mean, after you've been through it, and then you can continue those conversations into your everyday life. And that's kind of what we do with our Ready to Learn initiatives, which is really working with families, showing them like how to interact, how to play and have fun, and that really your parents, your family, the parents of these children are the first teachers.
You're right. You really are.
So you're their first teacher.
I know, I'm over here. I've always wanted to be a teacher.
No pressure. No pressure.
It's wonderful. It is.
But you know, when you have public television, PBS Kids, the Ready to Learn curriculum, I mean, you have the resources you need right there at your fingertips. And you don't have to have high expensive cable or a lot of the resources. It's all free over the air. And it's made possible through donors and viewers that contribute, that become members of this station, who support the endowment. And that's why this time every year when we celebrate our anniversary of being on the air, we want to encourage people to support the endowment. The Education Endowment Fund, it's there to support lifelong learning and to move on through the rest of the year. So a gift today will help children many, many years from now. So do consider a gift. You'll see a number on your screen. You'll see a website where you can go and make a gift. You don't even have to talk to anybody. Just go to the website.
I brought my check today. Though,
Plug it
Avery.
in.
I've already given it. So
thank you, April, and thank you to your family. Now, you had mentioned a little bit during the break all the ways that people are using the PBS Kids. It's no longer just you tune in and watch a content or a show. It's no longer just Curious George or just Wildcrats. So tell me how some of the experiences you've had.
So we have some really good friends. They have an orchard in Clarksville, Tennessee, and we drove up there because we want to support them. And their older daughter, Eleanor, I found this interesting. She was on her tablet and she was playing this game, and I'm like, oh, that's a really cool game. What is this? My 4-year-old's interested, and guess what? PBS Games app.
Wow.
Even our friends are using this, and it's free. I don't know if you've, being a mom, you're trying to find things, apps and games to keep them, a little bit occupied, but having something that's not just mindless, having something that they're learning is huge. And PBS is all about educational. I don't have to worry. I know that they're learning. And then they'll ask me questions later. We get to apply it to an everyday life situation.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable, and it's free.
I know.
Nothing anymore is free, but it's thanks to amazing donors that this is possible for our kids. So I want to thank you as well.
Yes.
As a mama.
There you go, right here in the Upper Cumberland. And April, we just appreciate you being here and giving us your testimonial.
Yes.
And we hope you've enjoyed the time that April has spent with us. And again, we still got time left, so you can make those gifts to the Education Endowment Fund and know that your legacy will continue through those efforts. And call the number on your screen, check out the phone number or the app, and we'll be back.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support, or call the number on your screen.
The funds
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual Day of Support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
Hello there. I was able to work at WCTE PBS as an intern this summer. I was working in special events with Amber Carl, and more specifically, I got to work on the Great TV Auction. Now, although it was chaotic, it was sure a lot of fun and taught me so much. Now, some of my favorite parts about being a WCT intern would obviously probably be putting on the auction in the first place. It was my first time on live TV. Another thing, I was also able to go to ribbon cuttings and grand openings for new businesses in town. And it really just got to show me about how much WCTE really cares about their community and how they stay involved as much as possible. Thanks, WCTE, for this opportunity. Please donate today.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hello, I'm Tony Craig, one of the attorneys at Will Robertson Associates Attorneys at Law. Over the last 4.5 decades, WCTE has continually demonstrated its dedication to enhancing the lives of individuals. The law office of William F. Robertson Jr. and Associates supports WCTE's local programming because it provides a platform for regional voices and builds connectivity and awareness among the community. Your gift to WCTE Endowment Fund ensures the long-term viability of the organization by providing a stable source of income, enabling WCTE to continue delivering exceptional programming. And today, the law offices of William F. Robertson Jr. and Associates will match your gift, doubling that impact.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hello, everybody. We are having a great day today. We are celebrating 46 years in the Upper Cumberland, and we're so glad you're here with us today. We've had multiple guests, and we have, and now we have Luke Eldridge. So, Luke, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for
we have
having
a little
me.
change out here really quick, so I
noticed that.
appreciate you getting down here. The reason I asked you to come on and be a part of our show is because you've just told us so many times how important public television,
Right.
PBS Kids, has been for your family.
Right.
So I'd love for you just to kind of talk about it. I mean, your wife homeschools.
She does.
So
yeah.
tell us a little bit how
Yeah.
it's played a role.
Well, it's very important because one thing is we watch it almost every day. The kids love Wild Kratts. They love, oh man, we just were talking about it on the way here. The biggest one though they love is Wild Kratts, and then my daughter loves Daniel Tiger still. She's 6, but it's still one of her favorites.
Yeah.
And then my son loves Nature Cat a lot. So
Yes.
those are on routinely.
Yes.
And very important because they're educational. And as you know, we've talked many times about my kids. They love snakes. My daughter is 6. As I said, she loves snakes, but my son does too. And
so we have a couple of pictures, and those pictures have been brought. They bring to life really what it is that they learn on PBS. Now, when they brought those snakes in, what were you thinking?
Well, the first thought is, are they poisonous?
Right.
Son, how'd you get those? Because my son will grab them and then give them to his sister. I've got another photo where he has about 5 in a cage, and I forgot to give you that one, but he loves them.
5 in a cage.
Yeah, he's got a little catcher that he loves, and so he put them in there, and we just take them to. We took him to his cousins, and they were like, "No, you got to take those back." But I always ask, "Are they poisonous?" He's like, "Dad, I know how to check. Nature Cat or Wild Kratts showed me." Wild Kratts showed me exactly what to look for, and I'm like, "Well, what do you look for?" He's like, "Well, number 1's cat eyes, or number 2, it's the shape of the head." I'm like, "Well, how are you grabbing them?"
Yeah.
By hand. Like, what else? I'm like, "There's no net." No, just by hand.
That's
like,
incredible.
Yeah, he loves
Now, we
them.
don't really encourage that at home too much, right? We don't really say go out and catch a snake, but it just shows the power that public television and PBS Kids has had on the influence of your children.
Yes.
And how they've really taken, when we learned from Olivia and Julian, the impact it's had for them, 9-year-olds. But it's so valuable. It's valuable to these young children. And it's thanks to the supporters of our community, our partnerships that we have around the community, that we're able to continue to bring great programming to you and to families all over the Upper Cumberland. So today we're celebrating that. We're celebrating 46 years right here in the community, and we're doing that with an endowment. So consider making a gift to the Education Endowment Fund. You can see on your screen where you can make those gifts.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 64th orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concertgoers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website, with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Rogers Group for their generous support of the Education Endowment Fund. Thanks to Rogers Group, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Education Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
There's nothing like a personal testimonial, and we heard from Luke earlier just about how important PBS Kids has been to his children, and we saw some pictures of the snake wrangling, and we've heard, but I really wanted to hear directly from our individuals. Jude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jovi. How old are you, Jude? You're
10.
You're 10. Wow. What grade are you going into? Fourth grade. And what about you, Jovi? Can you give them this?
I'm 6.
Yeah.
What grade are you going into? You going first grade?
First grade.
Wow. Now, I know you have a special program. You love PBS Kids. You watch it pretty often?
Yes.
Maybe when you get to?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite show?
Wild Kratts.
Yeah. Tell me why you like Wild Kratts.
Because there are animals involved in it.
Yeah. Is that where you learned about snakes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what made you want to catch a snake?
Wild Kratts inspired me to, and they showed me what are venomous and what are not.
Yeah. And then did you teach your sister?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Do you like snakes?
Baby ones.
Baby ones. That's pretty awesome. So do you remember the first time you started watching PBS Kids?
No, I do not.
Yeah. Do you have favorite games that you like to play on PBS?
I like to play the Wild Kratts.
The Wild Krat games. What else about Wild Kratts do you like?
I like that my favorite person is Martin, and he wears my favorite color, blue.
Okay. I like blue too. What about you? Do you have a favorite?
Odd Squad.
Odd Squad. What do you like about Odd Squad?
That they solve cases.
Yeah. Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
Not really.
Not yet?
No.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
So you guys are homeschooled,
Yes.
right? So do you use any of the PBS Kids content in homeschooling?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Do you have besides Wild Kratts, do you have something else that you like from it?
I also like Nature Cat.
Yeah. What about Nature Cat do you like?
I like that they're always outside and exploring.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's doing all the time at his grandparents. Well, when we go pick him up, he's got crawdads, he has turtles, he has snakes, whatever he finds. It doesn't matter. He goes and grabs it. And then she's just along for the ride.
Along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a farmer.
A farmer. Well, we just talked to April, and April Patterson, who is her family farms up in Clay County, and they're using PBS Kids right now for some pre-K because they weren't able to get into the preschool program up there. Very limited access, and so she's been using that content. Well, I really appreciate y'all being here today, taking a few minutes out of your Saturday to come in and talk to us all about PBS Kids. Anything you would want to tell our viewers at home about public television?
That it's a good thing to watch. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I think so too. And we really appreciate you all at home tuning in today and watching and considering making a gift to the Education Endowment. Your gifts go to support the great local programming that we provide, but also the PBS Kids content and the PBS Kids resources that are available to families that are working with their children either in a homeschool situation or maybe they're doing early learning literacy before they start school. So we appreciate your support and your gifts. We have some great thank you gifts for you. Check out those concert tickets the Bryan Symphony, as well as the Caverns. They're offering a variety of tickets that you could have with your gift today. So we are raising money for the Education Endowment as we celebrate 46 years of broadcast history. We're going to be right back with some new guests, but I hope you'll stay with us.
We were delighted to learn that WCTE has acquired the rights to air one of our favorite television series, Doc Martin. Quirky, funny, with an always interesting cast of characters and storyline.
We have been loyal supporters of WCTE and believe Doc Martin is just a great addition to their programming schedule.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support, or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. We extend our gratitude to Rogers Group for their generous support of the Education Endowment Fund. Thanks to Rogers Group, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Education Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, we appreciate you tuning in today for this anniversary, this 46-year broadcast history, 46 years in the Upper Cumberland. It is incredible. I can't say that I've been here for all 46, but it has been some. And, you know, speaking to Steve earlier, Steve Boots and Nina, I mean, they were here from the very beginning. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support so far. And thank you for all of our guests up to this point that have joined us. I hope you have enjoyed their testimonials and the impact that your gifts are making on those families. And now I have Chantel Ablakwa, another young mom around the Upper Cumberland. And thank you, Chantel, for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes. You have 2 small boys.
Yes.
And one that just finished preschool and is getting into kindergarten. How's that going?
We just started kindergarten last week, so it's rough on a mama's heart, but It's been great though. Yeah, they are growing up so fast. So we have the 5-year-old and then a 2.5-year-old.
Wow. Now we some people may know little Cephas because he's had a debut on WCTE with his conversation about what he loves about PBS Kids.
Yes.
And maybe we'll see that video sometime this evening. But I know you as a mom, I mean, it's very important to you what they're watching. And so maybe you could tell the viewers just what do you love about PBS Kids?
Well, I love that it's very educational. Everything, I don't have to worry when we turn PBS Kids on. Because I know that whatever it is, they're learning something. It is helping them. It's not just screen time, because I think we're all aware of screen time and its effects. And so whatever we're putting in front of our kids, we want to make sure that it is educational and it's helping them. And Daniel Tiger, actually this last week was starting kindergarten. Daniel Tiger was fantastic because there was an episode where he goes to kindergarten or he goes to school and teacher Harriet has what would you like? Would you like a wave, a fist bump, or, all the different options, or a hug? Because everyone likes something different. And his teacher did that when we went to school. She had a little thing. And so our conversation walking him into kindergarten was, oh, look, this is just what we learned about. And so that was really nice, actually, so it's very real practical things. So
Right.
that's really great.
Well, and I think that it's great that the teachers kind of are aligning with some of those shows, because I think it makes the children feel comfortable.
It does.
Right. So
It
when they
does.
get there, I mean, they're scared, they're away for the
Mhm.
first time maybe, and it's new to them. But when they have programming like Daniel Tiger that's giving them kind of a little, you know, maybe a start, right? Kind of
Yes.
sets the tone for what's going to happen.
It does.
And, you know, there's lots of the PBS Kids content that does that, that allows things like feelings or emotions. They're very tuned into, you know, when a child might lose. Mr. Rogers talked a lot about, you know, if you lose somebody that you love or care about, you know, a pet or a family member, and how can you deal with that? I mean, it's important content. It's important programming.
It is. And we really love it. And Daniel Tiger is one of my favorites because it does deal with those emotions. And as a mom, you know, especially for my first, you know, some of these things are how are we going to help them walk these things out? So it's really nice.
Right. Now, we just heard from a little older child. So has yours started catching snakes yet?
No. Okay. Well, I take that back. Well, we did have one instance where a little teeny tiny baby snake did get in the house, and the boys were by the trash can and saw the snake, and they didn't actually pick it up, but that was probably because we told them don't pick it up
Don't touch the
until we
snakes.
find out.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. But they are quite fascinating. We love frogs, though. There are
Mhm.
frogs in our neighborhood, and they really want to catch the frogs.
They learn to catch the frogs. And I'm sure with wild crats or nature cat, they'll be able to
Yes.
really learn some of the important things on that. Well, you know, you're talking about Mr. Rogers, and, you know, Mr. Rogers was so important to the community, and we're able to continue his legacy with some of his content and his programming. And so it's really great. And, you know, I had a few little facts about Mr. Rogers that I thought was kind of interesting. And some people know these, but, you know, his sweaters were knitted by his mom.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she knitted one sweater every month that he would wear. Mr. Rogers was also colorblind. He could not see red or green. So I wondered what his Christmas colors were, right? Maybe blue. Maybe that's where that came from.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. But, you know, he also, what he claimed to fame is that he saved the VCR.
Okay.
And you think, how in the world did Mr. Rogers save a VCR? Well, let me tell you, I guess he was testifying in front of the Supreme Court in the early 1980s because VCRs had became popular and people were taping programs during the day. And so they were ruling on whether or not that should be allowed, like protected content. And Mr. Rogers said that he thought that, yes, they should be allowed to tape the content. He said, I want families taping my shows and then coming home at night after they've had a day at work or school and watching the content together. And I think that is so true and so important, because watching programs together and being able to talk to your children about what they're watching and seeing, and then applying that throughout their learning experience is so critical. Yeah. Do you sit and watch with the kids?
I do. Sometimes I'm in the kitchen, and our house is an open concept, so they're in the living room while I am, you know, cooking dinner or cooking breakfast, getting everything. And that's in the mornings, the first thing in the mornings. That's really when we have Daniel Tiger on, and which is really great. But yeah, I do
listen to it,
sit there and watch it with them sometimes.
And you can reinforce what they're learning throughout the day. Now, the 2-year-old, right? Well, I can't believe he's already 2, but what does he have something? I mean, what is his show?
He really loves Daniel Tiger, Wild Kratts,
whatever Big Brother's watching.
Whatever Big Brother's watching,
Okay.
he really kind of jumps in. They also love Rosie's Rules.
Oh,
so that was another one that they really love.
See this, he mentions that in his video. Well, we're going to continue this conversation, and we hope that you'll stay with us. Make a donation, help save this legacy, or make a legacy for yourself by making a gift to the endowment. You can do that through the website or the phone number that's on your screen.
Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Oh, my name is Papa. My really favorite is Rosie's Rules. And the reason why I like Rosie Rule so much is because it has a brother and a sister and a cat. She speaks a little Spanish, and her abuela helps her figure things out. I love hearing his stories also because he makes wrong mistakes, but those mistakes teach him a lesson and help him figure things out too. Oh, we haven't talked about Lila and the Loop. I like Lila and the Loop because Stu's funny and Stu's my favorite cat. He's funny. He makes mistakes that are okay. I love PBS Kids. Thank you for supporting PBS Kids. Can't play with the iPad. Why do we have to finish it off?
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual Day of Support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
We extend our gratitude to Rogers Group for their generous support of the Education Endowment Fund. Thanks to Rogers Group, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Education Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
These shows would not be possible without our sponsors, so I wanted to make sure we gave a shout out to Rogers Group. They have been a great supporter, contributor, partner of WCTE. They're always there to fill in and be a part of the work that we are doing. So thank you to Rogers Group. Also wanted to make a quick mention of Swallows Insurance and the Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry, who sponsored the first hour. Your gifts today to the Education Endowment will be doubled thanks to these sponsors and making the gifts to WCT even greater. So thank you for that. We had a couple of people call in and make some more gifts. We had Patricia, who donated in memory of my mom, who loved watching PBS and encouraged my love of reading and learning by raising me on PBS Kids. And what a great testament. And as Chantel has said already, and as April and Luke has mentioned, I mean, the value that public television brings to families and the PBS Kids content is life altering. I feel like that we could say that. And for families that have limited resources, maybe they live in rural communities, they've not had access to public or to any type of public preschool. This is a way for those children to get a head start in life. I would say that they are going to be ready to learn when they get to school.
Yes.
So now, Chantel is also the wife of our Director of Education, and we're going to talk to Cephas a little bit later in this program because they're doing some great work as far as family engagement goes. But you might have saw in the break a cute little kid in there named Cephas Jr., and that is your little pride and joy, right?
Yes.
The first one.
That is the first one. He's 5, so he is. I'm biased, but yeah, he is my.
I think he might have a role in future content here.
He did pretty good.
I thought
that
he
was
did.
his debut, and I think he thoroughly enjoyed himself.
Yes, he loves it, and Cephas will tell me that he loves to come to work with him.
He does,
because he loves being around the idea of PBS kids being right here in his community, and I mean, what an incredible, he is starting so young at a foundation, and he truly believes, like, that's my TV station.
Yes.
He has, like, my PBS. So I think, that's, really what we're doing here is giving some life to those people that have ownership in this station. And for 46 years, we've been here, and it's only because we've had contributors and donors and partners that have been willing to step up and make those gifts to WCTE or be a member or, come out and support our events, but also the advocates, like Chantel, you're an advocate of the work that we're doing, and we're so appreciative of that. And April and what she is being able to provide her community in Clay County is incredible. It's just incredible. And we wouldn't ever be able to do this without all the partnerships. So we're excited that you're here today. We hope you will consider a gift to the endowment. Any amount counts and will go towards that work in early learning literacy. So check out more information on our website. You can make a gift online. You can make a gift by calling that in. But we hope you will do that and that you will support WCTE and the work that we are doing right here in the Upper Cumberland. And we've got another hour, I think, coming up, and then we're going to take a quick break during news hour, and then we'll be back at 7. But we've got lots more to share with you, so we hope you will stay tuned and stay here with us for the next little bit. And we thank you for your support.
Thank you so much.
So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I used to watch WCTE PBS with my mom on the weekends, and we really loved watching the cooking shows like Julia Child and Two Fat Ladies. We would go out and grab ingredients based off the cooking shows that we saw, chicken, stuff to make marinades, sauces. I even think the first recipe that I was able to make by myself was a salad dressing. Those memories that I have with my mother are really important to me, and it also showed me how the power of cooking can bring together a family and how important it is to celebrate each other in love around the dinner table. And that's why I encourage you to support WCTE PBS to help inspire a future generation to love cooking.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support, or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual Day of Support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
So if you've been with us at all, you'll know that we are raising money today for the Education Endowment and celebrating our 46th year of broadcast history for WCTE PBS right here in the Upper Cumberland. And we are the only television station in a 75-mile radius of Cookeville. I mean, we are it, folks, and we are free over the air. So you might receive us through cable or through a satellite, or you might receive us through your streaming devices. But there's still lots of communities in the Upper Cumberland that are considered very rural that may not have access to public television or access to any other programming except for public television. So the value and importance of us being here is, I mean, there's no way to put a number on that. Right. So we are raising money today for the endowment. And with a gift today of a $200 gift or more, you could have symphony tickets. Thank you gifts to the symphony. And that's a great resource. Arts, it really brings out the arts. The Bryan Symphony is in Cookeville. They perform over at Tennessee Tech. And it's a great way to just be immersed into the arts in the Upper Cumberland. And so maybe you might want to do that, or maybe you're more into the caverns, and that's always a lot of fun. Music in a cave. You might be familiar with our former show, Bluegrass Underground, but now it's called The Caverns, and they broadcast out of Pelham. But we've got some great tickets to some of those great performances there. And so with a gift today, you might be able to qualify or get one of these tickets. And so you can check out all those tickets online at WCTE.org. And also you can get more information about the endowment and why the endowment is so important, and how by leaving a gift to WCTE today, you can leave a legacy for generations to come for early learning literacy. And we've heard from many moms, Chantel being one of them, just how valuable that content is to their family. And we also heard from Luke and his kids, and his wife homeschools. Right. And you can only imagine what the resources that are available to her being able to do that. So, but Chantel, I mean, you come with a different perspective because your husband works here at WCTE. Right. So what do you hear him talk about when he comes home at night?
Well, he'll talk about, all the different things that they're doing, Ready to Learn, just which, I mean, it's self-explanatory in the name, but yeah, like all of the resources that are there and available. And I'm really grateful for that, because I think we kind of have an insider look into it, which is really nice. So ever since, our kids were really little, they've been on watching PBS Kids. And I remember growing up watching Reading Rainbow, Arthur, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So it was, I grew up on that because we didn't have cable. My mom refused to buy cable. My grandparents had it, but it was really great growing up on that, and now getting to, raise my boys on that, and knowing that they are learning really good things.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Nina was in here earlier, and former board member, but she raised her children, and now her children are raising their children, the grandchildren, on PBS Kids. And she talked about the clinical work that she did and how they used public media, even in its before there was ever PBS Kids, like a branded PBS Kids in the classroom with those Head Start and with those early learners, and the impact that makes. And, you just know that when you make a gift to WCT, to the endowment, I mean, it's in perpetuity. I mean, that gift will stay there, and only the interest is going to be used, but it's going to go back into this community to help early learners to have that head start, that kind of baseline of where they need to be, so that when they do start school, they're going to have the curriculum that they need, the baseline that they're going to need to get started. And Cephas Jr. just started kindergarten. So, and you've already kind of talked a little bit about that, but I can only imagine what he's bringing to the classroom because of his early learning.
Yeah, I think it's really been great. And I want to say thank you so much, because I appreciate the fact, we don't do iPads. We try not to do iPads, but we do have the PBS Kids. If they're on an iPad, they're doing PBS Kids, and it's an activity that's engaging, and they're learning something, So thank you so much for everyone who does support PBS Kids, because it is such a big deal.
Yeah.
It is great.
It is really great. And it is, and it's we should not take it for granted, because we do get some funding, but it's not enough to keep the doors open and moving. And besides the content, though, that maybe we're more familiar with, we're also doing lots of engagement. And we're going to talk to Cephas Senior, I guess. Yes. We're getting confused. I hope y'all are staying with us. But we're going to talk to him about the work that he's doing, his department is doing in that engagement, that boots on the ground in the community, and how we're changing lives every single day with this content. And it's thanks to our donors and our supporters like you making that happen. So 46 years of broadcast history right here in the Upper Cumberland. You can help sustain this work by making a gift now to the endowment. It all counts. There is no minimum, there is no maximum. So any gift that you give does count and will matter and make a difference right here in the Upper Cumberland. Use the number on your screen. Check out the QR code if you're savvy enough to do that. And then, of course, the website will have lots of information for you.
Hello, I'm Faye Watts, and I'm a retired teacher from Putnam County, and I support public television. My family and I have been watching public television now since it began. And as a retired educator from Putnam County, I used all the resources available for education that were to my grade level, all during the time that I taught. But there are lots and lots of good programs available now. And I'm so pleased to be able to say that public television has really, really made a difference in my life. It's the major culture that we receive in this part of the country.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support, or call the number on your screen.
We extend our gratitude to Rogers Group for their generous support of the Education Endowment Fund. Thanks to Rogers Group, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Education Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe. Are you ready for me? Yes. Oh, my name is Cephas Papa. My really favorite is Rosie's Rules. And the reason why I like Rosie's Rules so much is because it's it has a brother and a sister and a cat. She speaks a little Spanish, and her abuela helps her figure things out. I love hearing his stories also because he makes wrong mistakes, but those mistakes teach him a lesson and help him figure things out too. Oh, we haven't talked about Lila and the Loop. I like Lila and the Loop because Stu's funny and Stu's my favorite cat. He's funny. He makes mistakes that are okay. I love PBS Kids. Thank you for supporting PBS Kids. Can't play with the iPad. Why do we have to finish it off?
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual day of support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
Thank you for joining us this hour of WCTE's Education Special. We're celebrating 46 years of broadcast history, and in that, we're raising money for the Education Endowment. So if you've been with us the last couple of hours, you've seen we've had multiple guests on here, multiple testimonials, a series of sponsors and contributors, and all the ways that your donation is impacting our community. We are working on helping grow young learners right here in the Upper Cumberland, and we do that through the PBS learning curriculum and the Ready to Learn initiatives that we have. And there's not a better person here to talk about that great work except for Dr. Cephas Ablakwa right here. He runs our education department at WCTE, and he is the boots on the ground, folks. I mean, he is out there. He is in the school system. He is working with these families. He has a team that write grants and help fund all kinds of work that we're doing. And he didn't start out at WCTE Education. He started his career in the classroom. Wow. And that classroom is where he really, I guess, had a passion for teaching and making sure that young people have the resources they need to get started. Now, you taught high school, so it's a little bit different, but you know, I know you saw the impact of kids that started young and had a good learning foundation. Right. So, I mean, maybe you could share with the viewers at home, I mean, just how important is schooling and having the resources?
Yes. In the Upper Cumberland, schooling is everything. I mean, schooling is everything. Education is everything. But specifically in the Upper Cumberland, that K-12 education, we have wonderful K-12 education districts. We have very wonderful classrooms, great teachers, and I was one of them. I taught, my certification is in art education, K-12. Most of my time was spent, as you mentioned, in the high school at our very own Cookville High School. Yeah. I taught there for 10 years. And then I did a little bit of adjuncting at Tech for a little while. So I have experienced the whole gamut from kindergarten, middle school, high school, elementary, and then college. And so the Upper Cumberland has wonderful resources. And the things that we do here to support them, not just in Putnam County, but all 14 counties are wonderful. And as you know, you just had my beautiful wife on, and my son has been running in those commercials, Cephas Jr., and he's in kindergarten at Jerry Whitson right now. And Jerwison, as you know, have a wonderful program. In fact, the principal is the current teacher of the year and principal of the year for the entire state of Tennessee.
Wow.
Yes. So
what's her name?
Tina, I believe. And
Okay.
she is currently running. But as you also know, the Prescott
Yes, Tara Brooks.
Middle,
Yeah.
Tara Brooks is also one of the finalists.
Right. For Teacher
of the Year for the 2024-2025 coming. So
wow.
Putnam County Schools and the Upper Cumberland, we are doing great things in education, and we, WCTE PBS, are right there supporting all these efforts in the classroom, outside of the classroom, with some of our collaborations with other groups that are also assisting education. And education is thriving in the Upper Cumberland.
Yeah, I think, and you see it in these young children. I mean, we've had multiple families in here already. April Patterson was here, and she was talking about being in Clay County and raising her family in Clay County on a rural farm, and how they have actually had to create a preschool for her children. And now she's invited a couple of the other moms because they did not, or they were not able to get into the preschool at the program that was available to them because they just didn't have the access. There's too many trying to get in. So she has created her own preschool, and she's talked about using the early learning resources and the programs to help facilitate that. But your work in education is, the value that public television brings, and now you're raising a young family to be aspiring learners and to be curious. You know, I think just planting that seed and being that teacher for your student or your child is so important. And we talked to Luke Eldridge and heard from his children. It was just incredible.
Yes. And the resources and the things that we bring are helpful in the classroom, but they are very supportive when the kids go home as well.
Right.
And so it's just right there in line. As you know, as you probably has talked about today, PBS Learning Media, they are curriculum based. They're aligned. In fact, when you go to PBS Learning Media, whatever state you are in, once you type in the state, it filters up to the curriculum and the standards for that state. And then when you click on whatever class and whatever state and classroom you are, you can find resources that link to them. So at home, these are great resources for parents to support learning in the classroom. And also, while the teachers are in the classroom, this is wonderful things to recommend to parents and students as they go home and continue learning. And one thing that PBS brings is the fun with the learning.
Yes.
Because sometimes it gets a little, education, it's rigorous, right? But having that little break to watch a Daniel Tiger that reinforces the things you're learning in the classroom, especially social emotional. I have a 2-year-old, and this is our bread and butter, actually. You know, when you're mad and you want to scream, take a deep breath, you know. So all these things are so wonderful because it's put into a fun media way, which is the language of our generation now, this young generation. And so these are wonderful tools to have at home. And the work we do here through your leadership, my department, extends all the way through the Upper Cumberland. And I'm sure with more time, we'll talk about some other things, like the Empower and all those things that are coming up so the audience can hear.
And we mentioned earlier in the show about the impact that we have with some of the teachers. And how Sarah, one of your team members, goes in and actually works with some of the Head Start teachers. But she also will go in and do a little project with the kids. And we do things like Stations of Imagination. And you introduced a middle school academic bowl. And of course, we're also getting ready for our high school academic bowl. And these are all great experiences for our young people here in the Upper Cumberland. I mean, yes, we have great programming, and yes, we have great apps that help reinforce that. But the boots on the ground, the actual face-to-face contact that we have is tremendous. So we appreciate your support. Consider making a gift and help us sustain this work that we have in the Upper Cumberland. You can visit online or you can call the number on your screen.
Hello, I'm Faye Watts, and I'm a retired teacher from Putnam County, and I support public television. My family and I have been watching public television now since it began. And as a retired educator from Putnam County, I used all the resources available for education that were to my grade level, all during the time that I taught. But there are lots and lots of good programs available now. And I'm so pleased to be able to say that public television has really, really made a difference in my life. It's the major culture that we receive in this part of the country.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. Here at WCTE, we extend our gratitude to Carlin Chevrolet for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Carlin Chevrolet, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
We love updates, and we love to know where we are on our goals. So I'm glad you're sticking with us, and Morgan is back to give us a little insight to what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I'm happy to tell you that since the last time I was on, we're now at 9,425. So that puts us, just a little over 500 away from that $10,000 mark. And we'd love to get there so that we can say we're halfway. We're so close.
Yeah. And we could use the people at home that are watching right now to help us get there. So consider making that gift and get us up to that 10,000 mark before the 6 o'clock hour. How about that? Can we say that? And, we couldn't make this event or this work that we're doing possible without our anchor gifts from our sponsors. So we do want to have a big shout out to Carlin Chevrolet and thanking them for their sponsorship, as well as Rogers Group, Swallows Agency Insurance, and Upper Cumberland Family Dentistry. They have all been supporters of tonight's or this afternoon's broadcast and helping us raise the much needed funds for the Education Endowment and celebrating 46 years of broadcast history. And with your tickets and with your donation, we also have some thank you gifts this year, which is something new we've not done before, but we're hoping you're taking advantage of that. So Morgan, you want to share what we have?
Sure, I'll go through these real quick. So exciting, and thank you to the Bryan Symphony Orchestra who have provided tickets. When you do your donation online, whether it's through the QR code or on the phone, you'll be able to select a button that says select tickets while supplies last. And that could be these Bryan Symphony Orchestra tickets for the October 6th performance. Or there's also the Caverns is putting on Cave Fest. This is in October. This is really cool. This is a 3-day event that includes camping. So really neat, fun concert. And then there are 5 other shows at the Caverns that you can choose from, including T-Bone Burnett, that's in October, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Acoustic Christmas, that's in December, 1964 The Tribute, which is a Beatles tribute concert, also in December, Rhonda Vincent, a bluegrass Christmas celebration in December. And then lastly, comedian Jim Brewer. So lots of different types of shows out there for all different types of people, whether you like comedy or bluegrass or, rock and roll, all different kinds.
And, some of these are falling around the holiday season. So what a great, you could give them away as gifts. Or you might just want to go yourself. Because, this Bluegrass Christmas celebration, Rhonda Vincent and the Rage, that looks great. And I've heard a lot about T-Bone Burnett. He's pretty hot on the market too. So,
and let me go over these again, just to let you know that a $200 donation will get you into any of these individual concerts, which is really exciting. And thank you again to the Caverns and Bryan Symphony for donating these. And then a $300 donation will get you to that the Cave Fest 3-day weekend event. Just so you know where your levels are there.
So you're going to make a gift to the Education Endowment Fund, and then you're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
Why would you not want to do that? I think that sounds fantastic. And, that's just part of what WCTE is all about. We have tremendous partners in this community that step up every time that we need something. We're looking at raising funds for the work that we are doing, or maybe we're wanting to have an event and we need some food or something. They're always willing to be there to support us. And we don't take that for granted, Morgan. There's lots of people out there that need resources, and we're just one of them. So we want to just thank our sponsors and thank them for the contributions that they give to us and to the station to make sure that our work continues and that we're able to bring great programming. And we've talked a lot about PBS Kids, and we've talked a lot about the apps and the digital and how these young children are learning, because it is an Education Endowment Fund that we're raising money for. But we know how valuable the content that we bring to our adults and that are tuning in and watching, and they are members. They might be a member of Passport, they may be a member in other levels, but it's their contributions that keep the doors open here and keep us going. So we don't want to miss out on saying thank you to those folks.
And of course, if you are looking to make a donation in memoriam, there's also a blank where you can fill out that information, and we will read those live on air. Very special way to thank someone or to remember someone in the form of a donation to the PBS Educational Endowment. So just a reminder. And of course, this ticket promotional special that we're doing is only for if you donate today during our live event. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
Yeah, don't miss out on that. And like Morgan said, you could make a donation and then we'll read that on air. So this is a great time, I think, to just recap. We've had several people make donations and send in a message. We want to thank Barbara and George for donating. They love PBS Passport, and they really appreciate the subtitles available.
And Avery, what is Passport?
Passport, yes. So, that is it's a member-based benefit that people can access additional PBS content or maybe even early content. Some people like it because they can get to some of the masterpiece or the dramas a little bit earlier.
Maybe like our new show, Doc Martin.
Yes, kind of like that. Doc Martin is a new show that it's in its multiple seasons, but we've got 7, 8, 9, and 10 right now on Passport. So if they become a member, if they make a donation, they'll also get Passport.
There we go.
I know. Gosh, folks, I think you should go right now to your phone and call that in. Becky also sent in a message and wanted to say thank you to the staff and leadership, past and present, as well as the commitment WCTE has to the youngest citizens with Ready to Learn for the Upper Cumberland. And, Becky many people know Becky as our former CEO, and she is tried and true to public television and has done great work. And then also Patricia sent in in memory of her mom a gift, and just saying how much that PBS encouraged her love for reading and learning because she was raised on PBS Kids. And that's just, a testament to this whole day that we've had on air and why we're here doing the work that we're doing, which is let's get those early learners ready for school and continuing their curiosity into this grand space that we live in.
And just as a reminder, we're sitting right around 9,500. We only need 5,000 more to get to 10,000, and then we'll be halfway to our goal. We hope to be sitting at $20,000 by the time we close out at 8 p.m. tonight.
Yes. So right now, go to your phone or maybe go to the QR code or the website and make that gift, and you potentially could get tickets to some of these great concerts, but you also will get that passport that we talked about.
If WCTE wasn't here, somebody would have to invent it because there was such a need for the function that WCTE serves here in the community.
It's our only really local TV station.
Advantages of having Channel 22 and the programs they brought were tremendous.
WCT is important in the Upper Cumberland. It reaches underserved areas that don't have any other access to the educational opportunities.
They do try to be good members of this community, showcase what all the many wonderful things that are going on here.
It was obviously a challenge in the early years, especially when you almost expected to see a camera held together with duct tape and baling wire, but you knew that they were doing the best they could programming-wise to produce quality with what they had to work with.
It's good television. I like that they're dedicated to education. It's, in my opinion, some of the best programming on television.
WCTE is known to some extent all over the world.
There's a perception that WCTE is trying to bring things to the Upper Cumberland, which is true. Its mission is education. It brings in a lot of very interesting programming. But another big part of the mission of WCTE is bringing our region to the world.
Public media has always been an important part of the American scene.
It is our mission to serve the people, the public in the Upper Cumberland area. And the way we do that is to tell those stories.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual day of support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/day of support or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
We appreciate Morgan coming on and giving us that update, and she will be back because we love updates, right, Cephas?
That's right.
Right. And, we were talking earlier, Cephas, just about the work that you do in the schools and the impact of being an educator and the value that having kind of that baseline already there. But there is also other work that's going on with WCTE around the Empower program.
Right.
So maybe you could, we could talk a little bit about, we're a year and a half into a 3-year project that's working with counties. So tell us how that is.
So if I can give a brief
Yes.
a summary of what Empower is first. So Empower is an initiative with the Upper Cumberland Development District and the UCHRA. And they got a grant from our state to, I think it's $25 million grant to bring 1,600 kids, which equates to about 800 families out of poverty. And that is what we call a critical mass. If you can bring a critical mass in a region out of poverty, that really propels the efforts and initiative to bring that whole county out of poverty. So with this effort, Empower was formed, which has a bunch of different partners, including us, the hospital, and a few others, Highlands Economic Development, and a few other partners to work on one initiative to bring these families out of poverty. Where we come in is the education and engagement component for those kids. So what we do is during this whole program, there's a specific part of it where we meet with the kids from all the counties. In their counties, we've hired and trained teachers, Head Start teachers, that we go with and implement Ready to Learn. Ready to Learn is one of our biggest curriculums that we have, initiatives that we have, and it's been going on for about 25 years. It is research-based and is shown to be very supplementary and helpful for children to achieve those goals that they teach in school.
Yes. So we've talked a lot about Ready to Learn today, and somebody might be sitting at home like, well, this is Ready to Learn, but what is it exactly? Can you give like kind of a little?
Yes,
okay.
I will. So within the Empower, and this will probably be the best way to explain it, within the Empower program, when we have a Ready to Learn session, Ready to Learn has specific components, specific goals. For example, literacy may be one, computational thinking may be one. But then from that goal, we being in PBS, have come up with strategies and activities that teaches that goal in a very fun and in our brand PBS way to meet those goals. And it's been shown to do that. So for example, on Thursday, we had one Empower workshop here in Putnam County. So we had about 50-something children, individuals, about 16 families, I think. And what we do is we start out with a video or some type of introduction to a problem, whether it's a character that's having the problem, whether it's Rough Ruffman, Molly or Denali having an issue, and then the children try to figure out that issue. But the beautiful part about it, Ready to Learn, is it is all done with household items. So any family can just look at their curriculum if they have a sheet of paper or went online and download their curriculum and implement that particular lesson at home. So we were using, and I took my son to it. So what we did was we were trying to figure out how things were able to propel from a higher level to a lower level, right? Which is a science thing.
Right. They had like cars,
right?
And they were running the cars down the platforms.
So we had to make a tunnel for those cars to go through. And we used the inside roll, the brown part of the toilet paper, and we built and taped them together. But then you have to think, if it was flat on the floor and you put a car in, it's going to lose momentum.
Right.
So the kids, my son had to figure out, well, what if we raise it up some? Well, once you start raising it up, that's a structural problem. This is all physics. So then you have to figure out how far do we raise it before it starts to break.
It's stuck.
Yes. So we have to reinforce it. And we work through this whole problem until we figure it out and we can have a nice little build tube. All we needed was those round paper tubes from the paper towel, from the toilet paper or paper towel, tape, and then just a few household items, and we were able to figure out that problem. All of it being fun for the kids.
Right.
And we feed them. There is a digital component where they figure out the problem on the iPad, reinforced by what they're doing. It's a wonderful program, and anyone that's interested in it can go to our website and click on the link in education and be able to go to Empower. To Ready to Learn and see what we're talking about.
And see it. And April was here earlier and she was really talking about the resources of Ready to Learn in her preschool. But what would you say the age group of these kids are that you're working with?
So Ready to Learn focuses on age 2 to 8. And that's a very critical stage for some of these things to be established in the kids' learning process. That age right there is where they learn literacy, computational thinking, mathematic skills. All these things are very important, and these are the things that Ready to Learn focuses on.
The school readiness piece.
Yes, getting ready for school.
And so if you're at home and you're trying to work with your kids, and maybe you're on a fixed budget, or maybe you don't have a lot of resources, we're giving you free over the air.
Right.
We're giving you programs that you can do with your kids that are hands-on, that help you be your child's first teacher, get them ready for school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We hope you'll consider making a gift to the Education Endowment. Use the number on your screen to make that gift, or you can go to the website. And we're going to be right back to talk to Cephas a little bit more about his programs.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/Day of Support or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. Here at WCTE, we extend our gratitude to Carlin Chevrolet for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Carlin Chevrolet, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Lillian Hartgrove. Please join me in supporting WCTE's education programs. We can be proud of the station's focus on early childhood learning and the impact made through programs like PBS Kids. As a former member of the Tennessee State Board of Education, I'm happy to say that WCTE's education programs align with the board's policy for early learning education that ensures all students are prepared to learn and to be successful. Please join me by supporting WCTE's education programs that put our children on the path of learning to read and reading to learn. Thank you.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, we wanted to take a minute and let you all hear from the symphony, the Bryan Symphony community, and how they're impacting their group. And Charlie Decker is here to share with us how he's impacting young children with music. And remember, the symphony has donated some tickets, so we're also wanting to thank you for that too. But the symphony is a very important community partner in Putnam County and in the Upper Cumberland, and they bring a great resource or music tool to us. And Charlie's not new to public television. He was just telling me how you have been here
40 years.
40 years. So you've seen WCTE
Go
change.
from the football stadium to this fine facility, and lots of changes in programming.
Yes, lots of changes. Do you have a favorite show or anything that you like to watch?
Oh, we've been members. My wife and I have been members for a long time, and my kids grew up watching you.
Nice.
And so we've been connected for a long time. As to say, favorite programs, the entire channel is my favorite.
I was going to say all of them, yes. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your donations and support. So you're actually here to represent the symphony.
That's correct.
So tell us, what do you have, what kind of programming do you have coming up with the symphony?
Well, the Bryan Symphony is a professional orchestra here in Cookeville, and the orchestra does 7 concerts a year. We open up the season, so to speak, of 7 concerts on September 1st, which is an outdoor concert at Dogwood Park, which we've been doing for decades. Yeah. It's a free concert. It's usually attended by 1,500 to 2,000 people. There are people of all ages, from very small to very old, and we have special educational experiences for the students before the concert starts, which is part of this sharing, growing as young people.
Yep.
And the concert goes on for about an hour. It's a very entertaining program. And we'll call it a gift to the community that we like to do every year to get the fall season started.
It really is lovely. Yeah. Yes.
We think that our role in educating students, along with the role that WCTE has, is very important. So that's why we have donated those symphony tickets, which are good for the first subscription concert, which takes place on October
the 6th,
at 3 p.m., which is a Sunday. And you can give them more information on how to do all that, but it's our way of saying, hey, we are partners in making the Upper Cumberland a very special place.
Thank you.
Another special thing that the orchestra does, which is also a free gift and an important role of the orchestra, is a youth concert for fourth graders from 3 counties. The 3 counties are Putnam, White, and Jackson. So 2,500 students are bussed in at the orchestra's expense. This costs the school system nothing to hear a professional orchestra play a concert for them on the Tennessee Tech campus. And altogether, there are 3 different audiences that take place throughout the day. And they get to see real musicians playing in a real orchestra. It's something that they probably heard in movies, but they really don't know what it looks like or what it sounds like. And I can tell you from experience, the excitement that these fourth graders have just coming into the building and then seeing the excitement they have when they're coming out is phenomenal. And what we're hoping is that this is going to inspire students when they get older in their schools, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, to be in their music programs, church music, choirs, things like that. So this is an important experience that we think makes the Upper Cumberland a better place, just as WCTE has been doing for 40 years now.
Well, any kind of experiences you can give young people at an early age that can play a role in their learning, I think is huge. So, I think what the Bryan Symphony is doing to help that is tremendous. And we, you're right, it is a partnership, and it is something that we do and look forward to being able to work with you all and many others throughout the years on this. We wouldn't be here 46 years if it wasn't for tremendous partnerships. So thank you.
It is a great partnership. And I would say I've been around the country. I've lived in big cities. I've lived in little cities. And this is a very special part of the world because of WCTE in large part, but also because of all these other arts and creative organizations that make me wanted to stay here for 40 years and lots of other families as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you are right. It is a very special place. We live in a very special place. So right now we're raising money for the Education Endowment for WCTE, celebrating 46 years in this community. And we hope you will consider making a gift and taking advantage of some of these great tickets that have been offered.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland. Here at WCTE, we extend our gratitude to Carlin Chevrolet for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Carlin Chevrolet, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
We'll let you know when we're ready.
First name is Warren, last name is Johns. I am 7. I like to watch Wildcraft, working out wombats, Mega Builders. It's either Mega Builders or Wildcrafts. I can't choose. Who Sam Evelyn Johns.
Remind me again, what were your 2 favorite shows on TV?
Mega Builders and Wildcrafts.
What's your favorite character on Sesame Street?
Tango and Elmo.
What do you like about Wildcrafts?
That they discover animals.
I think we discover cars.
Wow! Thank you for supporting PBS Kids.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, we want to thank Charlie Decker for coming to WCTE for that special interview. As you saw, he had pre-recorded a spot, but he felt the need to come down and be a part of our program, and we really want to thank him for that. And just thank the Bryan Symphony for the tickets and for being that partner for all these years. It's just tremendous. And Morgan, we can't thank our partners enough. And the donations that we have received so far, we want to thank the donors and everybody that has made this event a successful event. And we are celebrating 46 years. So, we want to be successful. So Morgan has a little letter to read that we thought you might be interested in hearing, and I'll let her do that.
Right. So we talked a lot tonight about the educational endowment and what that money goes towards. And sometimes it's hard to put that into words, but this is a great example in a thank you letter that we received from the Cumberland County Trauma Informed Community Alliance that says, Dear so-and-so, I want to thank you for participating in the Trauma Informed Community Alliance's first summer camp, Camp Cumberland. In collaboration with Cumberland County Schools, efforts were aimed at consistent relationship building strategies utilizing existing school and community resources that the children are used to coming in contact with during the school year. Your participation, WCTE's participation, contributed to creating a seamless bridge from school to summer, providing some measure of consistency for the children. That's just a really great example of what it looks like when we say boots on the ground and when we're in the community, even, outside of Putnam County. So,
well, and, you may not think about the different ways that WCT can impact a life. And we talked a lot about early learning, but this is a great example of that social emotional learning and what some of children may have to experience in their early life, and how the impact of being able to have that friend or that familiar face on public television, that PBS Kids content is huge. And when they can relate a circumstance or situation to something they've seen on PBS Kids, I think it's just so powerful. And you really can't really fully comprehend it or understand it until you've seen it. But it is huge, the impact that we can have.
And I do have an update for you, Avery, because I know that's why you've got me here. We have now reached $9,545. Okay. So we're creeping up there. And I just want to challenge you guys again, if you're sitting at home and you think that you watch PBS all the time and you want to donate, it's a perfect time. Of course, we do have those thank you gifts as well in the form of tickets to the Bryan Symphony Orchestra and the Caverns. So go ahead and scan that QR code or make that phone call and select your tickets. And we'll keep watching our number grow tonight as we reach 20,000.
That's right. And we're gonna a little more to come for right now. So we're going to take a break, but we'll be back.
I'm Mark Farley. I'm the Executive Director of the Upper Cumberland Development District and of the Upper Cumberland Human Resource Agency. When we started Empower Upper Cumberland a couple of years ago, we knew we needed WCTE at the table as well. They have been a great partner over the last year and a half as we've been working with families, trying to lift them up and get them on the right path to raise up and become better and more stabilized in the community. The Ready to Learn program is awesome. It's a really unique opportunity to watch parents bonding with their children, working with their children in a way that they don't normally do. When you think of WCTE, it is more than just television programming. They have played a huge role in our region, and especially the Cookeville area, in the education system of helping our children develop and grow And we as the Upper Cumberland region, we are dependent upon them. And we're so excited for what they've done for us in the past. We can't wait to see what they have for us in the future.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual day of support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
With your qualifying gift to the WCTE Education Endowment, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the Caverns as a thank you gift. While supplies last, you can choose between tickets to Cave Fest, a 3-day camping and music festival, or a concert with artists like T-Bone Burnett, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rhonda Vincent, the 1964 Tribute, and comedian Jim Brewer. Ticket availability is limited, so if you want to reserve your spot, click on Choose Tickets on the donation form at wcte.org/day of support or call the number on your screen.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Well, Morgan just shared with us a great testimonial of some work that we did in the Upper Cumberland. It was actually, I think, over in Cumberland County, specifically CFIS, and that was due to some work that your team did with trauma and working with young children that maybe have had different experiences than some.
Right.
And the impact that the work that we have, we never know really the level that we can have on people's lives, but we stay very focused on the core of the work that we do and what your team does. So we were talking about empower, and you were talking about the great ways, but one thing that I'd like to bring up and just so the folks at home can really understand that, yes, they're coming into these workshops, the family comes, they do these things together, but I mean, you've really witnessed some real changes in these families. And it's as simple as sometimes just the fact that they're doing something together.
Right.
So I didn't know if you had a special testimonial or kind of what you've been seeing now that we've been doing this for a year and a half.
So what we've noticed is that Ready to Learn, as part of the Empower grant or the Empower initiative, there's so many different components to it. I would like to think, and I'm sure I'm biased, but Ready to Learn is one of the family's favorite one because it's the time they get to spend actual time with their kids. The other initiative, the other things are very important. We teach, we being Empower, teach soft skills, teach career readiness, and those are very focused and very rigorous in a way, to get families to a higher paying job. But with Empower, and we're Ready to Learn, as we shared, this comes through a fun way and interaction and spending time with your kids. So we've seen families that yesterday or Thursday when I was at the one, I saw families like dads working together with their kids to build things. There was one family, both dad and mom and the kids, they built this giant one that was, pretty high just to get the car to roll down in it. And the kids were just having so much fun. Wow. And so I really feel like that is the strength of PBS and the strength of the Ready to Learn program, because it's not just, as in school, teaching the kids education. It's really getting the parents to learn how to be their kids' first teacher. And that is the key. And once you have parents that are already their kids' first teacher and teaching them manners and things that are non-academic at home, things that we all need in life, to get them to also teach academic things, it's revolutionary in the sense that parents are usually intimidated, especially if you're not as higher educated, are very intimidated about getting in there and helping their kids. But Ready to Learn makes it all just like just doing anything else with your kids at home. So the testimonies that come in, similar to what Morgan just read, are all about how helpful and how great the Ready to Learn program is.
Well, it is a tremendous program, and it's a 3-year initiative,
Yes.
and we do work with other entities around the Upper Cumberland. And we just have the one little piece of
Yes.
a bigger
Yes.
thing. And Mark Farley has been a
Mhm.
big part of that, and so. But it's that work. It's that
Yes.
work, that boots on the ground, that being in these people's homes. It's
Right.
being face to face with
Right,
them,
right.
and giving them the courage
Yes.
and the strength to be a part of these kids' lives.
Yes.
And there's more to being a parent than just,
That's right, yes.
taking them to daycare and picking them
Mhm,
up. I mean, there's so much more involvement that can happen.
Right.
And so we definitely want to make sure that we are continuing to let our viewers at home know about that, because
Right,
you
right.
would not necessarily see that unless you're in one of these
Absolutely,
programs.
yes.
And we look for volunteers
Mhm.
all the time. And so you might even be listening to this programming being inspired to want to be a part of this
Right.
movement,
Mhm.
of this change. And we're happy to talk to you, because we need more ambassadors.
Call us, email us.
Yeah.
We definitely need
Right. Smoke
volunteers.
signals,
Yes,
whatever.
we need volunteers. We can do the work. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, I do want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about my team.
Okay.
First, we have Sarah Savage,
Yes.
who is the Education and Engagement Coordinator. And she does a fantastic job. She goes into the schools all over the county and the 14 counties surrounding, or 13 counties surrounding. And she mainly that age group. Kindergarten, preschool, first, second, third grade. She goes in and does supplementary activities that aligns and supports the work that the teachers are doing.
Yeah.
She does that, and she also plans our events, as in Stations of Imagination coming up here next month, Academic Bowl coming up in November, the other Academic Bowl coming up in the spring, and
Right.
she is the Engagement and Education Coordinator. She does a wonderful job, and our department would not run without her.
And that's one person.
That's one person.
One person.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then we have Venestia. Venestia also does a great job. She manages the entire Empower Ready to Learn initiative. She manages. We hire teachers. I think currently we have about 9 teachers hired for all 14 counties. We're in 11 counties now, and we just got 2 more to get into to complete the whole work. And she manages all the resources. She gets the resources from PBS, orders them, keep tracks of them, does the financials.
Yep.
And so we are a 3-person department doing a lot for 14 counties. So volunteers,
people that are interested in
yes,
being a real
yes.
part of that is welcome.
Yeah. Now, anyone can be a great volunteer, but what we also really want to encourage are retired teachers.
Oh.
Retired teachers make wonderful volunteers,
Yes.
especially if you're eager to work with that younger age group. But if you prefer the older age group, and maybe when we come back, we can talk about the initiative that we do with Putnam County School with the AV classes.
Yes.
So if you like working with the older grades and you're a retired teacher, that will be a wonderful place.
We'll have a place for you there.
We have a
too.
place for anybody to want to volunteer and do work with the education department or any other department that you're interested in.
Yeah. Well, and we've been talking this whole time about the impact of community and coming together and partnerships. And we met Charlie and talked to Charlie and the board members. But I mean, Cephas is right. I mean, we can't do this alone. And your support is just one way you can contribute to the work that we're doing right here at WCTE, whether it's broadcast signal into rural communities, whether we're connecting digital apps or learning media to teachers to help them supplement some of their classwork, whether it's actually the boots on the ground where we're in the communities working with these families. I mean, that's what you're doing with a gift to WCTE today, to the endowment. You're leaving a legacy for years to come. I mean, it's going to be there, and your impact today, your gift today, could help future generations have the resources they need and to help them grow and be the people that we want here
Absolutely.
and have healthy, strong workforce and so much more that's out there. So consider a gift to the endowment. We are going to be here for another hour. We're going to take a little bit of a break. What time is it? Oh, it is. Well, we're going to be back in just a few minutes, but then we're going to take a break while we go to the Lawrence Welk, and then we'll be back at 7. So we're going to take a break now. Stay with us.
Today's the day. It's WCTE's birthday and annual day of support. Thanks to your generosity, we are celebrating educational programming and initiatives. Please join us by donating to the WCTE PBS Education Endowment and supporting educational outreach in the Upper Cumberland.
Here at WCTE, we extend our gratitude to Carlin Chevrolet for their generous support of the Educational Endowment Fund. Thanks to Carlin Chevrolet, they will match your contribution, effectively doubling the money raised for the Educational Endowment Fund. These funds are directed towards early learning literacy in the Upper Cumberland. The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
Hi, I'm Charlie Decker, a member of the Board of Directors for the Bryan Symphony Orchestra. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra celebrating its 61st orchestral season that provides exciting live orchestral music by the great composers and innovative new works by the next generation of composers. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra annually performs these 7 programs for up to 6,000 concert goers that begins in 2 weeks with a free outdoor performance at 7 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st at Dogwood Park in Cookeville, featuring familiar light orchestral classics and film music that draws 1,500 music lovers of all ages. In case of rain, the free performance will be performed at the Bryan Fine Arts Building on the TTU campus that is next to the football stadium. The Bryan Symphony Orchestra has donated 10 pairs of tickets to WCTE PBS to help support the WCTE Educational Endowment Fund. While supplies last, you can choose to receive a pair of tickets to the October 6th concert as your thank you gift for your donation. Additional tickets for the subscription concerts can be purchased online through the bryansymphony.org website with information about the orchestra and concerts, or in person at the office on 123 West Broad Street in Cookeville. Experience the excitement of live professional orchestra performance with the Bryan Symphony during our 24-25 concert series.
The funds you've donated today are allocated to WCTE's Educational Endowment Fund, which is dedicated to early learning literacy in Tennessee's Upper Cumberland.
I don't know that we have enough time to tell everything that CFAS's program does for WCTE and for the Upper Cumberland, but we did still want to hit on a few things, and part of that is the high school AV class.
Right, and we have a huge partnership with Putnam County Schools and you know, with my position and a whole lot of other things. But one of the key component of that is the audio-visual classes. And as you know, audio-visual classes have been popular here in the last few years in Sparta and other counties. And so part of the work I do, the boots on the ground part that I do, is I do go to the schools from elementary, middle, and high school, especially the middle school, I believe. There are in the county, multiple schools have AV classes, audiovisual classes, and then we connect with them and connect them to our production department here, so that we work with the students. Part of the things we do is we have students into either volunteer, they have internship, right? And they get real live experiences. And then we also take professionals to the classroom to teach a class, to walk them through. And then we collaborate and produce a whole spot or a whole episode of something on TV. So we do quite a lot with those AV classes.
So giving those students kind of some real life experience, maybe even a career path that they might even consider, and they may never have considered it if it weren't for having this exposure to a public television station and being able to do it. I mean, I've seen some of their productions. It's really impressive. These kids are smart.
Right. And the teachers, we get them to take a field trip. So they actually come to our live events, get to go behind the scenes, academic bowl. They walk through, they see, we get them to operate the camera. When we have sports games at Tech, we get some of them that volunteer or come and work the camera. And
we
just
had two
get the
that
hands.
did the Christmas parade last year.
Yeah, and they had a wonderful time.
Yeah, they had, except for they got a little chilly, I think.
That's right. That's right. One thing, if we have time to mention, is working with one of the AV classes, we had 2 students that did compete at Skills USA in Chattanooga, and they won.
Yeah,
You know,
they
they
won the
won.
state.
It wasn't solely because of us, but we did work with them on some things. And the teacher was able to, a wonderful teacher at Kugel High School, I was able to work with them and get them to a level that when they competed, they were the state champions in that particular category that they competed in.
You know, again, you never know where you're going to connect with somebody. And I think that's what's with some of the older ones and maybe even some of our seniors. We haven't talked a whole lot about seniors, but Nina mentioned it, have the value and the importance of being able to have programming there and free, especially if you're on a fixed budget. It's very important. So, you know, 46 years of service to the community. I mean, that's nothing to like be like, oh, whatever. We'll see if you're here next year. I think we're going to be around, folks. So it's really it's really up to the donations and contributions.
We haven't even had time to talk about the things we do after K-12, the things we do with the universities. Going, Senior Putnam and myself going into the universities to teach and to do professional learning for the upcoming teachers, to be teachers in the classroom, to teach them all the resources that they can use when they become. We haven't even had time to talk about that.
Maybe
adult learning, right?
Maybe you and Michael Akins can talk about that at the 7 o'clock hour.
Yes.
We could do that. But I know that we are going to be going to the Lawrence Welk show. So I hope you'll tune in and stay for that show and then come back at 7 because we've got lots more to share with you. And in the meantime, make a gift to the WCTE Education Endowment. We're going to be here from 7 to 8, and you can make that gift by going to online or calling the number on your screen. We have some great tickets, lots of variety of tickets, really. I mean, you might like symphony. If you like symphony, that's great. If you like Cave Fest, that would be great. If you want other tickets, they're out there. Visit our website. Make a donation.